Doubts raised about rising UK and global temperature claims by UK Met Office. Following the publication of a damning report about US weather stations, some legitimate doubts are being raised about the scale of global warming claimed by UK Met Office. The report found that 96% of the weather stations used by the American Weather Service NOAA were corrupted by the localized effects of urbanization. The US has one of the largest temperature measuring systems in the world, and information from the stations form an important part of the Met Office had CRUT5 database, CRUT5 database. Daily Skeptic reports since 2013, the Met Office has boosted recent global warming by 30%, depressed past measurements, and abolished the temperature pause from 1998 to 2012. This pause is still discernible in the accurate satellite and meteorological balloon record. Using the CRUT5 database means that the Met Office can claim continuing warming and further heat records. Anthony Watts, the author of the report titled Corrupted Climate Stations, noted that data from the stations that have not been corrupted by faulty placement, quote, show a rate of warming in the United States reduced by almost half compared to all stations, end quote. With a 96% warm bias in U.S. temperature measurements, quote, it is impossible to use any statistical methods to derive an accurate climate trend for the U.S., end quote, added Watts. And the same can, of course, be argued to apply to all global sets that use the corrupted U.S. data, he said. The corruption caused by the close proximity to asphalt and machinery and other heat-producing, heat-trapping, or heat-accentuating objects. It said placing temperature stations in such locations violates NOAA-owned published records and standards and strongly undermines the legitimacy and magnitude of the officials' consensus on long-term climate warming trends in the United States. Of course, the Met's Office's own UK temperature measuring is subject to considerable urban heat distortions. During the recent brief heat wave, feels like an apocalypse, Piers Morgan said, 3 of the 4 highest temperatures were recorded at airports, including Heathrow, one of the least suitable sites it is possible to imagine. Interestingly, the average temperature for the UK last month was 16.6 degrees Celsius, the same as the year before and nearly identical to the 16.5 Celsius of 1976, given that 11 million more people live in the UK and urbanization has rapidly expanded since then. Last month was almost certainly cooler than the same glorious period in 1976. In addition, these averages were not far off the temperature of 16 degrees Celsius recorded back in 1911. Frequent upwards adjustment at CRUT and an increased disconnect with satellites and balloon records do pose legitimate questions that the state-funded Met Office is actually recording increasing urban heat and not much warming of the global atmosphere. And further questions can be posed along the lines, is it just a coincidence that the data is beneficial to those arguing the climate is breaking down and a command and control net zero solution must be imposed in less than 30 years? As reported recently in the Daily Skeptic, Watts also publicized a rarely referenced data set that NOAA started in 2015, designed to remove all urban heat distortions, calling the U.S. Climate Reference Network USCRN. It's collected data from 114 U.S. stations and was aimed for superior accuracy and continuity in places that land use will not likely impact during the next 5 decades. Over the last 17 years, it found very little evidence to indicate a warming trend. In fact, it showed that May 2022 was cooler than May 2005. Watts comments that the data the network produces are never mentioned in monthly or yearly climate reports published by NOAA for public consumption. And much of Watts' report supplies data of the field trips made to NOAA stations. Chris Morrison is the Daily Skeptic's environmental editor. This is by Neam Harris on News Punch. Please leave your comments. Thank you for your support. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.